Hey everyone, just before I was actually going to go live with my video, well, this news dropped on our laps. And as you can see here, Game Pass Tracker says breaking Game Pass news. It appears that Xbox is moving away from the Xbox Game Pass name. And if you continue watching the video, you're going to see why I'm saying, I've actually gone into reasons why this was happening and why this is expected. Now called Microsoft Game Pass, according to this ad from GameStop's official X account, as seen below. A potential sign that Game Pass is coming to more platforms in the near future. Microsoft is taking over Game Pass from the looks of it, allowing other platforms to feel more comfortable with utilizing the service, white label or otherwise. Because as long as it's called Xbox Game Pass, I guess there's this stigma about it going there, but if it becomes Microsoft Game Pass, then it can actually go onto more platforms because Microsoft is a more universal name. And as you can see here, they say, come play new Xbox games on Xbox Series SX and explore the benefits of Game Pass. They've got a day planned out for it. Join us on the 10th of February for Xbox Demo Day. Come play, explore the benefits of Microsoft Game Pass. You've got the fat Xbox logo there, the Microsoft logo. You've got the different Series X's. No sign of the hybrid console or any other new console, but this is that once more confirmation that Game Pass itself is evolving. Anyway, now on to the actual showing that I did record, and it kind of goes into more explanation as to where this is going, how it's going, and what changes we can expect. How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another video. We have I want to talk about Game Pass today and the stuff that's going around. I saw this post by Karim yesterday when I was on stream. Thank you for the turnout. It was absolutely amazing. The most we've actually ever had on this show. We were over 300 people concurrent. That's amazing. Over 3,000 people coming in and out. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for turning up. It was a really good show. But today I want to talk about Game Pass. And as you can see here, Karim is saying, my prediction outcome for next week's Xbox business update show. And he's looking at the best case scenario. Now, for a long time, I've been saying that Game Pass is likely going to change structure. It's going to change naming convention. And we will probably likely see a lot of this happening over a year's time, right? Or at least over the next 6 months or whatever, but it's happening. And this was one of the reasons why we probably didn't see Blade with the term Game Pass. Now, what that will change into, what it will happen, it's all speculation at this point. It's just my assumption. But with the acquisition of ABK, putting Activision Blizzard games all onto the cheapest form of Game Pass just probably wasn't going to be it. Putting it on Game Pass PC probably wasn't going to be it. I mean, it was always going to be changed, right? I assumed personally it would be Game Pass Ultimate and ABK. So it'd be a higher tier for those people that wanted the ABK games as well. That makes perfect sense to me because, just putting those games day and day onto Game Pass is a massive loss in revenue. And at the end of the day, we've all seen Call of Duty is just one of those games, no matter what platform it's on, it is going to sell. So anyway, Karim says best case scenario. Game Pass tiers will change. This is what I've been saying for a long time. Game Pass Ultimate will now be the only tier for day one games from Microsoft's first party. Now that is possible, right? That is possible, but I think the other tiers will actually always have the Microsoft Game Studios, but the Ultimate tier will be the one with the ZeniMax and the ABK. It's also possible that the Ultimate tier will have ZeniMax, but if you want ABK games, you'll have to pay for Ultimate and ABK. So it'll be a new tier entirely. As we can see here, ABK and Bethesda day one launches will also only be on Game Pass Ultimate. Now, I've just covered that, but I think that is possible. But ABK is just such a big company. Their sales are, they dwarf what ZeniMax is doing, in my opinion. And because of that, they will be on a much higher tier to try and recoup some money from those people that are just on their subscription service. Again, this makes a lot of sense. All tiers below Game Pass Ultimate will have day and date games, will not have day and date games anymore. So that is basically PC Game Pass as its standard core without the online, and of course Game Pass Core. Again, this is something that is highly possible, and you know, it's a structure that's going to change. It's done in a way, in a bid to try and get more people onto Game Pass Ultimate, obviously, because these games cost a lot of money to make. If you average them at around 200 million, you're looking about 7-8 billion between just the studios that Microsoft now owns in order to make these games. So it's a lot of money. Now, he says we'll most likely have to wait 6 months, with even lower tiers not seeing these games unless they upgrade. So what he means here is the Game Pass core will likely never see these games. And that kind of makes sense because they've got their 25 games, which occasionally rotate from what I understand, but they're not really getting the Game Pass experience. It's just a core experience where you get a selection number of games, occasionally reshuffling, and that's it. Now, the Game Pass experience is the one that will likely see these games, but it could come at a delayed rate. In 6 months, those titles will come to Game Pass while also going to other consoles, PlayStation, Nintendo. This is weird why he says Dreamcast, but I'm just going to ignore that one unless Sega's doing something that I don't know about. Now, I don't think this is the case. I think this is not the case at all. I think he is still listening to the rumors, and I'm going to completely disagree with this. Now, with the ABK games going to multi-platform, I can believe that. Now, with the ABK games, I think they're going to go day and date to multiplayer anyway, like Call of Duty, Overwatch, Diablo, World of Warcraft. It all makes sense, right? Those are gas service games. To me, with the ABK side of things, that makes sense. We're also seeing games like Elder Scrolls, Fallout 76, Minecraft. Those games also, Minecraft Legends, Minecraft Dungeons. Any updates to those will also go day and date. They're pre-existing services, so they're going to go day and date as well. However, if there's a new title released by ABK, that's a guess. It may go day and date as well. First, single player games may be delayed. That's a maybe. But because of the nature of the beast with ABK, it's weird. That one I can't really pin down. But with ZeniMax, I just don't see that falling under the same category, the same umbrella as ABK. They're just a much smaller company. I mean, ZeniMax cost what, 6 billion, 7 billion compared to that almost 80 billion. Well, it was actually 83 billion that it actually cost them overall for ABK. So, the difference in magnitude is quite big. For ZeniMax, where they can absorb that and actually merge ZeniMax into Microsoft Game Studios and make everything Microsoft Game Studios, they could possibly do that. But with, ABK, they can't do that. So this one I think is a little sketchy, and I think this is actually going to not be the way he's actually saying it. Game Pass Ultimate will give the benefit of being the first to play these games earlier and play them at launch. Now, again, he's referring to ABK and ZeniMax games, and I disagree with this. I do think that ZeniMax games will still remain exclusive to Xbox platforms unless they are live service. So I still see Indiana Jones, I still see Blade, I still see Starfield as being exclusive to the Xbox platform and not going anywhere. These are tentpole titles, and considering the size of ZeniMax, I just don't see these titles going out. Now, the smaller titles that come, to ZeniMax, the really smaller titles, or to potentially Microsoft Game Studios like Psychonauts, Hi-Fi Rush. Hi-Fi Rush was a great game. I'm not saying it's not, but it's a smaller title. I can see those filtering out to other platforms, and that will also fulfill Phil Spencer's obligation to courts when he says of case-by-case basis. It also proves true that when they want to go and buy another studio or a publisher, which we know that they're going to do, they will have a better chance of buying them. Of course, at this point, I think they should just settle with what they've got. If they're going to go and money have third-party exclusives, they should probably go and do that instead of going and buying more publishers. But if they want to go and buy a publisher, I think from this point going forward, they will probably get the ABK treatment, if that is going to be the way it is, where the games will be multi-plat, but they will be day and date on Game Pass. Call of Duty and ABK games, Diablo, WoW will only be on Game Pass Ultimate. That I can believe, or Game Pass Ultimate plus ABK. So it's going to be like a new tier. When I say GPU plus ABK, that is a new tier that could be introduced. So currently the highest tier I think is $17.99. This could be $19.99 or $20.99, something like that. Older ABK family-friendly games, Crash, Spyro, etc., will be on the lower, maybe older Call of Duty 2. So the older games I actually see being across the board. You know, the older Call of Duty games that pretty much, they're not in high demand. No one's really looking for them. No one is going out of their way to buy them. Those will be, filtered through as the monthly drops for ABK games that they're looking to do for Game Pass in order to keep the subscription happy, right? Because the more games that they drop onto the subscription, on a monthly basis, the more people are going to stay engaged and stay subscribed. So the older games make sense. And the Crash games and the Spyro games, they also kind of make sense. They're not system sellers. They're not really Game Pass sellers, but they're nice fillers there that keep the consumer happy. Xbox Game Studios will be on all Game Pass tiers. I kind of expect that because that's the core crux of Microsoft. That is their central studio. This also means that if Microsoft decides to go and buy a studio, let's say Atlas, as a company, as a studio, that studio would be absorbed into Microsoft Game Studios. It wouldn't be its own entity like ABK or ZeniMax because it's just a studio. So Atlas would be absorbed to Microsoft Game Studios, and all those games that are from Atlas would also be within the Microsoft Game Studios. So that is the sort of thing that's going to be here. Rare, Obsidian, etc. with, again, only Game Pass Ultimate experiencing day one goodness. Wait, that doesn't make any sense what he's saying here. Xbox Game Studios will be on all Game Pass tiers with, again, only Game Pass Ultimate experience. So he's saying that they're going to be on all of them. I think Xbox Game Studios is going to be flat out on all of them. Just flat out available day one. Because that would kind of go against the messaging of what they gave out of Xbox first-party games will be. And, they can easily swing that to Xbox Game Studios first-party day and date on all of them. So I think he's a bit wrong. I think he's making a bad judgment call there. Xbox will continue making consoles for maybe another 4 years, ending with a hybrid cloud digital console. That is... Nah, I don't see that. I still think there's at least another 2 generations of gaming consoles before Microsoft decide that they're going to move to the cloud. Right now, it's way too early to even contemplate a cloud console. Stadia tried it, failed. Others are trying it, and they're failing. It's not the time yet. The infrastructure, just global infrastructure, just isn't there. However, what they can do here is go for 2 more generations, in my opinion. But the next console that's going to be coming for the next generation, which Bill may outline in his business update next week, there's probably going to be 2 renditions of the console. There's going to be a handheld version of the console, which will run native Xbox games, but when it's docked, like the Switch dock or the Stadia dock or whatever, it's actually going to have additional processing power. And when you're running it through the through the internet, it's going to actually utilize cloud performance. So what does this mean? It's going to get extra GPU power, extra CPU power. So if your handheld Xbox could only run certain games, say at 30 FPS at 1080p, because it's a handheld, 1080p is more than enough. If that is what it can run, when you dock it in, it could potentially go to 2K, 4K at 60 FPS, because it's utilizing the power through the cloud to get that extra computing power that it needs in order to be able to give you better visuals, better performance, and just better clarity. So that's how I think the handheld console is going to work, but you're also going to get a full-fat Xbox Series X2 as well. That's how I see that. Ultimately closing out with a cloud console that will let you access Game Pass and Xbox Library through their servers. I think that's like 2 generations away, so we're looking 10, 15 years away. It's still, I can see them, releasing the cloud console as now, but as an additional to everything else, but I just don't see it being mainstream because the infrastructure just globally isn't there yet. In 5-6 years, it could be there, and that would be a good point to actually introduce it. But in 10 years, I think we will be there. And after the 10-15 years, Ubisoft's contract will end after 15 years. Microsoft can take back control of their own cloud service. That would probably be the best time for them to do this. Maybe a controller or a USB-C device connects you to their server using Wi-Fi or something. Basically, he's talking about how the Stadia controller connected. Cloud will be the future. Cloud Wars, The Empire Strikes Back. I've been saying cloud is the future for a long time. No one listens to me. Now they're all embracing it. The Xbox handheld device incoming in the style of a Steam Deck, ROG Ally, to access your Xbox library along with Game Pass, or a collaboration with established PC handheld companies so Microsoft doesn't have to waste resources on making a handheld. Now, it's quite possible that they're going to go the PC route. I think that would be a mistake. But, you know, at the same time, seeing as they are going to get computing power from the cloud, it's quite possible. But from what I'm hearing and from what I reckon they should do, I think they should just make it an Xbox handheld console powered through Game Pass with cloud computing power and release it that way to see how it goes. And maybe if they're happy with that, that's their bread and butter Xbox console. The Asus ROG and all the other manufacturers out there, they're doing a great job for the PC anyway. Microsoft doesn't really need to enter another PC one. But at the same time, they could always license it out to other studios, right? Other manufacturers to get it done for the PC. But I think the one that's going to come from them is going to be a handheld Xbox. Because at the end of the day, that's where we're going. Even when the consoles will kind of disappear and cloud is going to take the center stage, I think, you know, portable consoles are going to be what leads the future. Nintendo's already started that journey, and I think they were the right of it because that is the way to go. That is where everything is moving, portable, mobile phones and whatnot. So releasing a portable console that's powerful enough to run these games is definitely the smart thing to do. Xbox will be rebranded as Play It Here First Console and Play It Day One with Game Pass Ultimate. Don't really know what he's saying, but the whole rebranding of Xbox could be possible. I mean, again, that leans some credence to not having it on Blade because Blade is 2627, and if they're changing the name of what it actually is, that could be a reason why the Xbox tag wasn't there. And again, if Game Pass is changing its name entirely to something else as they buy more studios and, you know, change the structure of it, that could also be a reason. Third-party strategy will turn out to be very profitable, having Xbox invest back into the gaming division and Xbox Game Pass Ultimate giving its value. Well, it's going to get a lot of value if it's forcing people onto Ultimate. We just did some maths in Discord today, and we're looking at Game Pass right now having roughly about 6.5 billion return in revenue. Now, there's a cost of about 1 billion. Now, let's just say hypothetically that's gone to 2 billion. That is still a 4.5 billion net profit. That's a lot just from Game Pass. Everyone and their grandma will have Game Pass on their phones and TVs. Consoles will be sold to us nostalgic nerds. And I think the consoles itself will eventually disappear, and all we're going to have is a Switch-like device where we can dock it to get the full console experience powered through the cloud, or we're going to have a handheld device that will just play Xbox games. But I think this is where it's going. I think that's where it's always been heading. And, you know, where you can see here, Xbox games showcase play day one with Game Pass. You know, games like Starfield, Forza, Senua, these will all be day one with Ultimate. I think like games like Towerborn could eventually move to other platforms, but you know, we'll see. Like Persona 3 Reload, that will be game day and date because it's not part of Microsoft Game Studios. But it's interesting to see, you know, this post here. Some of it I agree with, some of it I don't, some of it I think is far-fetched, but that's my thoughts on this. You let me know in the comment section below what you think. Like I said, don't believe everything you hear. There's a lot of rumors going about, a lot of people backpedaling now about what was said. All they needed to hear was one DM and that's it. From doom and gloom, it's gone of it. Although there are some out there right now that have completely gone off the bandwagon and have lost all faith in Xbox. There are people selling their consoles. I think that is way too premature. I think that is way too much of a knee-jerk reaction. Just wait until you hear something concrete coming from Microsoft. But in terms of Game Pass, the restructure was always going to happen. After ABK, it didn't make sense for them to keep the same structure because having just Game Pass on its own and paying $10, you know, it kind of just it was never going to work, right? ABK is just too big of a company that, you know, with big games like Diablo and Call of Duty that just sell millions, and giving that away entirely for free on Game Pass, well, that was never going to be it. Now, if it's only locked to Game Pass Ultimate, I can see that, because now Microsoft is telling people you need to spend an extra, you know, $6-7 in order to get it, or potentially more if they add an extra tier. But that's my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let's have that discussion, and I will see you in the next one. As always, remain legend.